In Book 4, we're introduced to the character Dido. We see a rich psychological portrait of her. We see her interaction with Aeneas and her interaction with her sister Anna. The complexity of her character makes her quite a strong figure. She is sympathetic and a pretty good person. She shows hospitality to Aeneas and his men. She's building a city, something Aeneas can admire, and she seems to be doing everything right. In Book 1, the goddess Venus sneaks up on her and gets her to fall in love with Aeneas through the intervention of Amor, her son. She's portrayed as not fully in control, but we can understand how she is overcome by divine intervention. Her tale won't lead to happiness and friendliness. Dido gives us a way of focusing in on one specific scene in Book 4. It is the richest portrayal of what she goes through. Aeneas and Dido and their parties head out for a hunt into the wilderness, and lo and behold, a storm happens. Aeneas and Dido find themselves taking shelter in a cave. The two of them have an interlude in a really interesting language. This is when a sort of marriage ceremony happens, and Primal Earth and Neptunal Juno start the ritual. The nymphs overlook the ceremony and sing wild hymns from the top of the mountaintop. After the ceremony is over, the author Virgil then suggests that it possibly wasn't a marriage. She compares the ceremony that just went on to Roman legal precedents and says that the ceremony doesn't really follow what a marriage means. Mercury comes into the story and tells Aeneas that he should run away right now. Aeneas sneaks away. When he's caught, he almost seems a little bit guilty. He quickly blames fate. He says, destiny is what's pulling him forward. Dido's angry with Aeneas. The murkiness around the presentation of the episode, such as Virgil includes, makes the clarity of her anger even more fathomable. Dido doesn't seem to know what's going on and is unsure that Aeneas has snuck away. When Aeneas is faced with Dido, he tells her that no more of these appeals set us both afire, and he says he sails from Italy, not of his own free will. He's going to have to move forward because destiny is pulling him there. This is where the story unfolds, and Dido and her sister Anna start to show a lot of hatred towards Aeneas. They even suggest burning Aeneas' stuff. They even suggest casting magic towards Aeneas. And love magic is a very common thing in antiquity, but it's not something you would be proud of doing. It's something you would have done if you felt the desperate need for it. And Dido was getting very desperate. This is where the underworld divinities start to take action. Erebus, Chaos, Chasm, Hecate, and Diana are all brought to the scene. They're considered the gods and goddesses that you reach out to when you're very desperate and need help. They're also the gods associated with magic. So here we see Dido is going to follow through with her wanting to cast magic on Aeneas. This scene can be interpreted in either two ways. One, you're sympathetic for Dido and feel what Aeneas did to her was wrong. Or two, you feel like she's abandoning all social and moral values and what she's doing is wrong. Although she doesn't seem to deserve the way Aeneas treated her, shouldn't she still be the bigger person? Some people may look at this book in the functionalist way and question what kind of social values are being underwritten and being legitimized by telling the story. There's an overriding virtue of pietas being made to show triumphant in this situation. Even if Aeneas would have wanted to stay with Dido, he couldn't. Pietas' duty requires that he go forward, even though it has great cost. They may also look at the underlying of Xenia, and Dido shows to be a very good host. She's welcoming, and she welcomes Aeneas and his crew, giving them a home, even offering Aeneas to marry her. However, in the end, Pietas wins over Xenia. To put it all into perspective, here is where Aeneas shows a master Roman dominating a loved one, Carthage, who wishes to be with Rome but is eventually destroyed by Rome. This is a history of the Carthaginian Wars. Carthage was, of all the cities in the Mediterranean, the one that most powerfully stood between them and total domination of the Mediterranean. The Carthaginians, in real historical periods that the Romans knew well for over 100 years, did awful battle and war with the Romans. In fact, the Romans remembered the Carthaginian conflict and their ultimate victory there as the great exhibition of Roman power and Roman strength. It showed pietas, fulfillment of your duty to the greatest degree possible. It was the great exhibition of Romanness. No matter how awful the suffering was, they won over the Carthaginian. Now we have Carthage, who's feminized. Carthage wants nothing more than just to be loved by Rome, but instead Rome destroys her. Our hero, Aeneas, shuns the clutches of North African sex goddess, thereby besting Odysseus, right? We see Odysseus falling for these various kinds of exciting women on strange, faraway places. This can be parallel to Aeneas. So if we're trying to imagine a sympathetic reading of Dido, we have to run that past what is clearly, obviously going to be a very unsympathetic reading of a figure like Cleopatra coursing around the contemporary historical accounts. So, of course, Aeneas leaves behind Dido. He can't fall victim, no matter how sincere his love is, or her love is. He can't fall victim to that. If he did, he would be no better than the people that caused such awful civil war in recent Roman history. In conclusion, the author Virgil never tries to tell a very simple tale. He's always presenting complex tales with several different stories in them.